Shabbat shalom. All right. Let's get it going. Today I want to deal with lust. Lust, something that many struggle with and some have mastered. But lust is always going to likely be an issue. So I want to talk on that. Abba Yah, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to minister. Um, Thank you that you have worked with me through my many years of battling with lust. The battle is ongoing, but it's definitely not the same. My youth, I definitely failed to lust, but I believe that I'm winning over lust in my older age. And maybe that's because of my older age, but who knows? I thank you for the maturity. Thank you for the growth. May I be able to assist others and just share this message and maybe even give some pointers. Maybe. Shabbat Shalom and Yada Yahuwah. Okay. First, to start off, though, I'm just going to talk a little bit. You know, in my youth, I was a whoremonger, as you would label a person like that, but my eyes got the better of me. I wasn't one that really used my eyes for that at my earliest age, but peer pressure kind of assisted me when I wouldn't notice a big booty or a big breast, excuse me, if those words bother you. My friends were like, "What's wrong with you?" Is they challenged my manhood. And so then once I started locking in on that, I couldn't deviate or turn from it. I'm just like, and then they like, "Man, you staring." So I went from one extreme of not really paying attention to I couldn't deviate or turn away from. As time grows, people taught me little tricks, bouncing your eyes or whatever, look and don't stare and all these different things. But I don't know, I guess when I was younger and stuff like that, there was not as much to see as now to me. You could see things, but you had to use your imagination. Now you really don't have to use much of your imagination because it seems like almost everybody is dressing close to naked. I'm like, I'm around young folks all the time, and all they wear is tights and cleavage and shirts showing off their stomachs and their belly rings and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't focus on it, but you can't help but see it. It's uncomfortable for me. One thing I can say is that me having daughters really did do a major shift in my thinking because I didn't want someone looking at my daughters the same way I had looked at other people's daughters. All right. Well, I'm gonna get to sharing some stuff. Let me get going. Got planes and stuff flying over, I guess. But let's go. So first thing I want to deal with, the Hebrew word for lust is kamad. It's from the Old Testament or the Tanakh. H, so Hebrews 25:30, is a Hebraic word. And so it means to desire, to covet, to take pleasure in, to delight in. I have a wife, so it's not a problem for me to lust after my wife. Don't get that twisted. But if I'm looking at another man's wife, that's out of order. And I think it's out of order to be looking at some young, especially someone younger or at the age of my own daughters and stuff. I think that's a violation. And I got a granddaughter now too, so it's like, I think that's something that people should consider. Let's go to some text. Michelle of Proverbs 6 and going to what's called verse 25. All right. All right. It says, "Do not desire her prettiness in your heart, neither let her captivate you with her eyelids. For because of a whore, one is brought to a crust of bread, and adulteress hunts a precious life. Would a man take fire to his bosom, and his garments not be burned? Would a man walk on hot coals, and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her goes unpunished." Mm. That has me thinking about King David, his royal man, Uriah. That's his boy, one of his mighty ones, his mighty soldiers. And his more he got more Uriah and the rest of his bros out at war, but he at home chilling when he usually would be out at war. And what he do? He'd go out on his balcony and he up in the highest palace and he sees down on the rooftop a woman in the Bath Sheba. Hmm. That man, let me see. That man is a mess, but let me see something. Let's see. Do I even want to talk on that? Yeah, I'm gonna go over here and talk on that. I'm gonna just read the narrative and stuff myself, so you can see it. I don't want to just tell you about it. I know I've probably discussed this before, but let's read on it a little bit. Let the word speak for the word. So we go over here to Shemuel Bet or Second Samuel 11. And it says, "And it came to be at the turn of the year, at the time sovereigns, King David was a sovereign, go out to battle, that Dawid sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But Dawid remained at Jerusalem. And it came to be at evening time that Dawid rose up from his bed, evening time, so he'd been in bed all day, and walked about on the roof of the sovereign's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very good to look at. She bathing, she nude. He like, oh man, I desire. He'd start lusting. He's supposed to be at war. He got his men at war. He didn't get out of bed till evening. He chilling. He laid up relaxing. And Dawid sent and asked about the woman. And one said, "Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" That right there should have been enough. He already looking at her, desiring her, lusting her. He know Uriah is one of his mighty soldiers. Before he became king, Uriah out with him in battle. And Dawid sent messengers to fetch her. And she came to him, and he lay with her, for she was cleansing herself from her uncleanness, and she returned to her house. So it's likely She was just getting finished with her period, her menstrual, cleansing herself from her uncleanness. She bathing. He see her nude body. He like, oh man. So she ovulating. That man. And the woman conceived and sent and informed Dawid and said, I am pregnant. I don't even need to read further. That man was coveting his neighbor's wife. He knew the man. They told him who it was. It didn't matter. His lust, his desire turned to something else. He acted on it. All right. Let me see. Well, I don't think I'm gonna go here, but I just recently did a message about Yosef and how he was running Potiphar's house and he was a young man and strong and everything. And Potiphar's wife just was on him, lusting him. I ain't gonna go there because I got other stuff to go to, but she was after him so bad, lusting after him that, she was getting sick. Her health was declining and all this stuff. She kept doing all type of things trying to get at him. Her lust was getting the better of her. And that man kept on, get off me, get off me. It didn't matter. She wanted what she wanted. Sometimes when you have the issue of lust going on, it's better to avoid the subject of your lust. I myself, I don't know, in my first marriage, I know I stepped out of the marriage or whatever. Now I look at it differently and stuff like that, but a man can add women, but the fact that I was doing it in secret and not being upright about it, it was not, it was wicked. It was evil. If I felt like that I was going to do something like that, I should have said it out my mouth and said I did it, or I should have cut the relationship off and moved on. There's a more honorable way of doing things. If you're going to do it, be a man and say you're going to do it because you can add women. I myself think a man should discuss that with his wife before he so-called forces that on her. I didn't discuss anything. I snuck. I did some stuff. I was hiding in secret and I was lying. A man should not do that. That's not representative of how a man of Yah should operate. That's not integrity. If regardless to what happened, you can say, "Oh, she's denying me" or whatever. I made a decision as a man, as a lead. Lust took over. Now I set in my lifetime parameters and stuff in place. See, the person that I first operated my lust in my first marriage was a person that was riding with me. I don't really let women ride with me, and definitely not if my wife doesn't know. I don't do that at all. But I don't really have women riding in the car with me. When I'm at home, if my wife is not here, my children are here, women that not my like my mom or my family, women don't come past the threshold. They don't come in this house. These are things that you put in place to stop lust from growing. You may not have the desire or thought in your mind that you're going to do something, but things can quickly move past that thought of, oh, I ain't gonna do nothing. Avoid the appearance of evil. Sometimes you gotta no cut it off. If you know that it's a person that you lust after is at a certain place, oh, like okay, your bank, your local branch of the bank, oh, that teller, oh, she bad. Well, go to another location. Avoid that location just because their temptation is there, that lust is there. so that you can honor your covenant. You have to make a choice. Some businesses, you go to, like I said, that was a bank, whatever. I just use it as an example. But when you go to certain places, if you know what the atmosphere is like and it's something that's not conducive to you walking in integrity and not functioning in lust, stop going there. But modernly, it's a little bit difficult because the standard of clothing is is much different. I went to a family gathering yesterday, and of course, a lot of the relatives came by, but relative friend came by, and what they have on, spandex. And so I'm paying attention to the babies, but still, it's right there. And I'm like, if I was of my old, I'd have been like, oh, look at that. Nowadays, the consideration is not there on what is modest and what is not. But let's keep going because I believe this situation that I'm going to share right next, that this woman wasn't modest, and that standard of modest was not an expected standard. It wasn't something that's imposed on. So you got to control yourself. You can't expect everybody to set the atmosphere for you to be at your best. You got to just work at being at your best. Okay, so let me go back to sharing my screen and let me keep going. Let me read. Okay. So I'm going over here to Bereshit, Genesis. All right, Bereshit 12, and starting at was verse 11. And it says, and it came to be when he was close to entering the Mizraim, this talking about Abram, that he said to Sarai, his wife, see, I know that you are a beautiful woman to look at. He looking at her. This is wife. He desires her. And he knows that she's desirable to others if they see her. This woman was close to 90 years old at this time, too. And he's talking about her beauty and how she's going to be desired, lusted after. He knows that. I believe that she was not dressed fully covered, personally. But let's keep going. And it shall be when the Mizrahites see you that they shall say, this is his wife, and they shall kill me, but let you live. Please say, you are my sister, so that it shall be well with me for your sake, and my life be spared because of you. And it came to be, when Abram came into Mizraim, that the Mizrahites saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. And Pharaoh's officials saw her and praised her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. She was abducted. But, she's just supposed to be just this is sister. And he treated Abram well for her sake. He like, because I want her. He was lust. I want her. And he had sheep and cattle and male donkeys and male and female servants, and the female donkeys and camels, and female donkeys and camels, excuse me. But Yahuwah plagued Pharaoh in his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. He didn't know that he was coveting another man's wife. He thought she was available. Abram didn't disclose that that was his wife. He said that was his sister, and she went along with it. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this that you have done to me? Why did you not inform me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? And so I was going to take her for my wife. Look, here is your wife. Take her and go. He wanted to clean his hands of that because that situation got ugly. When you step into that domain of messing with another man's wife, it can hinder your favor, your household. I'm like, wounds can dry up around you, all this other stuff can go on because you done crossed into a a a boundary that's not supposed to be touched. that man, if she was single, his lust would have been okay. Because when you see a woman that you desire to have as a wife, looking at her and desiring her is not a problem. But when she's attached to somebody, that becomes coveting. So there's nothing wrong with a single man or a man that's looking to add wives to look at a single woman. But the parameters of her being already assigned to somebody, you crossing a line. And see, nowadays, modernly, people do so much with lust. This is where pornography, you know, all these other things, lust, because people can't control themselves. There's little to no self-control nowadays and discipline. And a lot of times that is used as a weapon. Thirst traps are set for men. They're set for women as well, but a lot of men are basically caught up in thirst traps. Women purposely dressing provocative to draw their attention and catch them, to be able to, gain access to their resources. Used to be a time when you could go to the gym and work out and not even focus on all that. Yeah, people still met people and end up dating at the gym. But nowadays you go to the gym and there's this, you know, atmosphere of, if somebody, they all wearing body stuff. So if you just look their way, oh, they gawking at me. Nobody can help but see that you're shaped like you're shaped because everything you're wearing is fitting. But still, as a man, you have to have self-control and discipline. You can't use the excuse of, it shouldn't be like that. And you can't blame them. But I do believe that there should be some culpability on the other side. Nowadays, though, men are wearing tight clothes too, where, they print can be seen and stuff, and women are lusting after that. They want that eggplant. Men got to do better in that. Put them jogging pants or sweatpants away, or wear around the house so your wife can see it. But don't be wearing those out in public. But they want that attention. Triggering lust, triggering desire. You should want somebody to know you for what's in what the way you think. It's nothing wrong with desiring somebody for what they look, but they should not, I guess to me, promote sexuality all the time. But that's just me, because we live in a world that's, every song, every movie, even books promote sexuality and push lust because it's a very, very lucrative business. Let me get back to reading. All right. We're still dealing with Abram, but his name now is Abraham, and so Sarah. So we see what happened, how he said, be my sister. This dude, he the father of faith, but here we go again. Bereshit, Genesis 20. And Abraham set out from there to the land of the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. And Abraham said concerning Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, sovereign of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. She got abducted again because she fine. And the men there are coveting her and desiring her, thinking that this is man's sister. This ain't his wife. Because that's what he said. He said it was his sister. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, see, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. You're trying to uncover this man's nakedness. That's what you're trying to do? You covered in his wife. Well, he said it was his sister. However, Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Yahuwah, would you kill a righteous nation also? See, this is a nation, not Israel, but this king, like, would you kill a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocence of my hands, I have done this. Man, I seen this fine woman. She wasn't really covered. Yeah, she a little older, but she bad. And she beautiful and I want her. It said it was just a sister. Come on, if I would have known that it was his wife, I wouldn't have touched her. Come on, Yah, forgive me. And Elohim said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, and so I kept you from sinning against me. What is sinning? Transgression of the law. So this man must have knew lost the Yah standard, but anyway, for this reason, I did not let you touch her. Yah was showing this man grace because his whole move and actions towards pulling this woman was because she was supposed to be a single woman. And he like, I'm finna add her as my wife. But she wasn't single. And now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet. When did they ever say that Abraham was a prophet? We're saying that he's a prophet. Abraham, I say he was a high priest. We don't hear that word or whatever, but yeah, he was a Masha, an anointed one. And let him pray for you, and you live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die, you and all that are yours. So Abimelech rose early in the AM and called all his servants and spoke all these words in their hearing, and the men were greatly frightened. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? And what have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me and on my reign a great sin? You have done matters to me that should not be done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, what did you have in view that you have done this matter? And Abraham said, only because I said to myself, the fear of Elohim is not in this place. He was wrong. And they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. And yet she is truly my sister. Yeah, he ain't lie. She is father. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. Mm-mm-mm. I don't need to go no further. I don't need to go no further on that. Let me. Mm-mm-mm. See, I'm not really focusing on the stories as much just the fact that, there's nothing wrong with lusting if you have it under control. A woman or a man, if you're a woman, that's, a woman can look at a married man, though, that if she's single, she can desire that, but she should not violate that situation without a door being open for her to, enter in. But, yeah, she shouldn't be plotting. But a single woman can be added. Anyway, I don't. Let me get off this because that whole polygyny talk or whatever be messing people up, and it makes them reject everything. They throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. So let me move off of that. But when a person's not espoused to somebody, it's nothing wrong with desiring them. But don't don't make it scary. Don't make it, you don't do too much. You look, but you shouldn't be staring and all that. No, you don't do too much. Men have a habit of doing too much sometimes. Even if she's single, just popping up at her job and stuff like that. No, don't be doing all that. You know, don't make them feel uncomfortable. And see, modernly nowadays, I get it. They wearing next to nothing and stuff like that, but still, look her in her eyes. Talk to her eyes. Don't talk to her body. You don't gotta, staring her up and down and stuff. Don't make her feel uncomfortable. Don't be creepy. Don't let your lust take over. Have some self-control and discipline. If you do desire her, look at her eye to eye, talk to her, and maybe you can get to the point that you can access her. But don't let lust be the one leading you. Use your mind, use your words and your actions. All right, I got one more story, and this is a different scenario a little bit because this one is a little bit out of the way a little bit. But this happens. So this is a reality that, I'm gonna address it because it's a reality thing. We deal with stuff like this in this lifetime still. So let's go. I'm gonna go over to Second Samuel and Shemuel second, Shemuel bet and 13. So let's go. All right. And after this came to be that Absalom, Shalom, son of Dawid, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar. It's not Tamar that hooked up with Yahuda back in the day. This is a whole different narrative. This is way down the line because this is actually in the family of Yahuda, descendants of Yahuda. But anyway, and after this it came to be that Absalom, son of Dawid, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, son of Dawid, loved her. So get it. David has multiple wives. By one of his wives, he has Absalom and his sister Tamar. By another one of his wives, he has Amnon. So that's his sister because they share the same father, but they don't share the same mother. And she is just being herself. And he is lusting after her. Amnon is lusting after his sister. Say half sister or whatever, that's still his sister. And Amnon was distressed, even to become sick, because of his sister Tamar, for she was a maiden. Modernly we would say she was a virgin. She was young, pure. She was innocent. And it was hard in the eyes of Amnon to do whatever to her. And Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonabad, son of Shema, Dawi's brother. See all his family connections. Now Jonadab was a very wise man. So he basically was Jonadab, son of Shema, Dawi. So Shema was Dawi's brother. So that's Jonadab is basically Dawi's nephew by our today's term. Okay. Now Jonadab was very wise man, and he said to him, "Why are you, the sovereign son, becoming thinner day after day?" Man, he lusting after her bad to the fact he ain't eating. Explain it to me. And Amnon said to him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Sound like incest modernly, but again, let's keep going. And Jonabad said to him, lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick. Let me do some slick stuff right here. They plotting. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, please let my sister Tamar come and give me food. Huh? You don't acknowledge my sister Tamar. So you know this is your sister. Come and give me food. Now, I just want to hold on. Let me just take a break here. Let me take a break. This is Israel. This is the tribe of Yahudah. This is King David. Everybody, not everybody, but the stereotype is that the palm skin people is be into incest. This is the tribe of Yahudah here. This is out of Israel. These ain't palm skin people. So stop with that narrative and saying that that's only the palm skin people. That stereotype, it happens in our families too, in our households too, that people overstep and let their lust defile their own relatives. So you got to be mindful of that. Me being a father of three girls, I have to be mindful of even my male relatives that I let around my daughters. And then think about it. Sometimes you got to do that same thing with your sons because you got males and females nowadays touching on boys. Lust nowadays, it don't have too much restraint. People don't care because they believe that they can love who they want to love. Despite if the other person want to be loved like that. Lust nowadays has a lot of reign and not much self-discipline and control is going on. People are not being taught how to control their vessels. When my youth, I could say all day, I was not under control. Having daughters did help me. I'm not the same as I used to be. So I have lot more control and discipline. But a lot of times when dealing with the youth and dealing with people and stuff like that, I reflect back on that. I still believe that there should be the standard that I'm applying now on their lives, but I do have a comprehension that I was not there when I was their age. So I can't act like, I'm so much above them and superior to them when at their same age, I was way more defiled than they are. So I have a level of compassion and empathy towards them because I see with my own eyes that they are seeing way more than I got to see. When I was younger, I had the Playboy books and stuff like that, but now you don't need to have a book. It's right there in front of you. It's walking in front of you all the time. Dang near naked. You see naked on TV, everything. That stuff was not allowed on TV when I was a kid. We had Benny Hill, but you had to wait up. You had to sneak up after night, after when it got close to midnight to see that. No, regular TV, you see that at any time. And streaming, you can definitely see it at any time. But lust opportunities, thirst opportunities are always available. Like I said, you go into the bank. I'm like, shoot, I don't know. When I was at the last Christian ministry, well, with the one I was a member of, and I'm like, the women there would have the cleavage out of this world. Now it would be funny because sometimes when they know that you was, look, they'll cover it up, but it's like, why'd you wear that in the first place? And see, with me being tall, I have no choice but to look down on people. So I don't, I'm trying to look at their eyes. I'm not trying to look at their breasts, but I don't have no choice because they down. I'm 6'4" and they 5 foot. I don't have a choice but to look down and I can't see nothing but cleavage. But they wear that consistently. tight clothes. Come on. You look up on the stage and they performing. You like, whoa, the stuff that you see is, boom, 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 the Coke bottle or whatever, a lot of people go to ministry, go to church to hook up. That should not be a place that you go to fulfill your lust. But sadly, mhm. But let me get back. Let me get back. All right. And he said to him, why are you, the sovereign son, becoming thinner day by day? Okay, and I'm gonna skip down. And Yonabad said to him, lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, please let my sister Tamar come and give me food and make the food before my eyes, and so that I see it and eat it from her hand. This was to me, a negligent, a derelict father. You got servants. Why your sister need to do this? No, I ain't letting your sister come in that room by no, behind that closed door. No. Your stewardship as a father should be always, my spidey senses be like, nah, seriously. When my children were young and stuff like that, we would have my nephews spend the night. My daughters, she'd be like, I want to go hang out with them. They staying up all night. Nope, you go to your room. They down the stairs with your brother, and but it ain't fair. I don't care. I ain't here to be your friend. I don't care if it ain't fair. Y'all play during the day, but no, you ain't gonna stay up while I'm asleep. While I can't, govern and keep popping in because I'm asleep. No, and if they would have came upstairs, it would have been a problem too. But anyway, so look at me. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. And when the sovereign came to see him, Amnon said to the sovereign, please let Tamar, my sister, come and make a couple of cakes for me before my eyes, so that I eat from her hand. And Dawid sent to Tamar to the house. He sent Tamar to Tamar. Hold on. And Dawid sent to Tamar to the house, saying, please go to the house of your brother Amnon and make food for him. She was obeying her dad. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and while he was lying down, and she took dough and kneaded it, and made cakes before his eyes, and baked the cakes. And she took the pan and turned them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, make everyone go away from me. And they all went out from him. And Amnon said to Tamar, bring the food into the room that I eat from your hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them to Amnon, her brother, in the bedroom. And she brought them to him to eat. And he took hold of her and said to her, come lie with me, my sister. Come lie with me, my sister. He identified that's his sister. Come lay with me. Give me some of that good stuff, basically. And she answered, no, my brother, do not humble me, for it is not done in Israel. Do not do this wickedness. You're not supposed to uncover my father's nakedness. You're not supposed to sleep with your sister. This is not supposed to be done in Israel. Other lands do this, but we don't do this. Do not do this wickedness. And where could I take my shame? If I did this, where could I take my shame? And you would be like one of the fools in Israel. And now, please speak to the sovereign, for he would not withhold me from you. You know, if you want to do this, talk to dad. If you want to do this, marry me. It's kind of great, but basically, talk to dad. Get his blessings. Get his favor on it. which is crazy, but but she talking the talk. She let it be known, don't do it like this. But he would not listen to her voice. And being stronger than she, he took it. He humbled her and lay with her. I ain't gonna say the word what it is, because that word to get this blocked or whatever. But come on, you know what he did. He humbled her and lay with her. But this derelict, Amnon then hated her exceedingly. Oh, but his lust, he desired her. But once he got what he got from his sister, Amnon then hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love which he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, Arise, go. He want to throw her away after he done took her maidenhood. He done took her flower. And she said to him, No, for this evil is of sending me away is worse than the other you have done to me. You humbling me and taking it, and you sending me away afterwards is worse. Take responsibility for what you did. But he would not listen to her. And he called his young man serving him and said, Now put this one out. Not my sister out. Put this one out. He treated her like trash. Away from me. And bolt the door behind her. Not just close the door, lock it. And she had on a long coat, for the sovereign's maidens' daughters wore such garments. So he took some clothes off of her. He took and his servant put her out and bolted the door behind her. You can't tell me that sister didn't know that was a sister, that was the king's daughter. Didn't matter. And Tamar put ashes on her head and tore her long coat that was on her and put her hand on her head and went away crying bitterly. And Absalom, her brother, said to her, Has Amnon, your brother, been with you? But now, keep silent, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this matter to heart. So Tamar remained in the house of her brother Absalom, but was ruined. I- Look, I ain't even got to read no more of that. You follow it up on yourself and finish reading that. But it ended up being some drama towards King David, because that man, he wasn't offering good stewardship over his daughter, and he didn't even perceive the lust of his son towards his daughter. And if he did, he didn't do nothing about it. As a steward, as a father, we need to mind ourselves and keep our lust in control, but definitely keep lust at bay from our daughters. Those that are lusting our daughters, I'm like, I had this discussion. I'm seeing a lot of these men out here, like they was all on Angel Reese when she, was in college, about 19 years old. And I'm seeing men my age having daughters and granddaughters her age design her. And I'm like, well, dang, if you looking at that at 54 to 60 years old, looking at that 19-year-old like that, you telling me you're not looking at or lusting after your own children's friends? Huh? If you lusting after her like that, oh man, she grown. Well, your daughter is grown, so if your daughter's friend come around, you telling me you giving them that same eye? And a lot of these men married, and again, you can add wives, but you looking at adding one of your daughter's friends. So how long you been looking at her? You been waiting. Oh man, she gonna be bad when she get older. That's what you've been doing. You need to control your lust, brother. You need to get that under control. Otherwise, somebody gonna handle you. I know me myself having three daughters. I definitely, if I felt that was how some of people that I let around me was operating, I might want to lay hands on them. So definitely don't have to worry about me being that type of person because I have to consider my own situation. At 25, I had my first daughter. It really worked to change my whole mindset. And I'm thankful for that. You know, Yah has used circumstances to change me because I was one that was definitely full of lust. Can't say that I don't lust now, but it's so many different things that I put in place that checks me quick. Like I say, that threshold at my back door, you don't see a woman entering in that when I done let many, my wife's friends, my own friends, sit outside in the car until my wife got home. Or basically, oh, I gotta use the rest. McDonald's, Taco Bell, around the corner. You can't come in here because you got to do whatever is necessary. Bounce them eyes, cut off or whatever. Remove yourself. Go different ways. Because lust is definitely something that can get the better of you. A guy I used to call a friend or whatever, he used to have a foot fetish and lust feet. So when women walk around with with the shoes, the feet out and stuff like that, he couldn't keep his head up. And you can't expect these women to, it's summertime. They're gonna have to have full shoes on. No, he needed to learn how to control himself. So I had to bump him, dude, what you doing? Boom, because he making him uncomfortable. Because he can't keep his head up because he like feet. And I, eventually had to cut that relationship ain't no more. But I'm like, a person that don't have self-control and discipline is going to be a problem. They're gonna not just covet, that lust gonna turn to coveting, but they're gonna operate and function on that. It's gonna end up moving them because they're gonna let that have they're gonna entertain that for too long. Don't entertain your lust. Move from it. Flee from it. Flee. All right. Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. May someone have gained something out of this. Um I know that this is a touchy topic or whatever and stuff like that, and I'm probably offended so many different people. I don't care. That's not the purpose of it. It's not the purpose. I didn't purpose this to offend nobody, but I do hope that someone is able to grab a nugget out of this and use that for the benefit for them to gain self-control and discipline. Let this household that I live in stay up under your order and direction, and let lust not have any type of dominion here. Let it be something that we have grabbed hold of and held and put authority over to govern it. I thank you for your will being done in this household and want your will to be done on this earth as it is in the Shamayim. Yada Yahuwah, Shankul Yah, One Vision Ministry, Shankula Carter, Ikai Shazin Sheriff. Shabbat Shalom.